I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet, saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And greetings out there all across this great land of ours, this great republic known as the United States of America. Greetings around the world, greetings across this great nation. We just thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And, you know, I am rather perplexed as to actually how to start the show today. What topic is more important than any other? Maybe it's Barack Obama's choices for the March Madness bracket. The media seems to be obsessed with what Barack Obama thinks about basketball. But then again, they don't care too much about what he thinks about anything else. Anyway, let's see. What's the greatest thing out there? Oh, the big to-do between the media and the White House as to what Donald Trump meant when he said wiretap. Boy, that's really important news. So I guess it may be a kind of a toss-up today, or maybe it's Donald Trump's remarks today at his press conference with Germany Prime Minister Merkel about them both being tapped by Barack Obama. Yeah, that's real news too. You know, I mean, it's just so much important stuff out there with the rest of the world hanging in the balance. It's just amazing. I guess the media, they're just, I think the media is really kind of melting down in the fact that they've never really had to think about what's being said out there. They just get their talking points and they call on the air and they recite it. Donald Trump has, in that way, probably more than any other, rocked the boat in the fact that they actually have to listen. And, of course, they're always trying to draw the major stuff from the minor stuff, which makes it even more comedic and I think in some ways very satirical and representative of what the media has become, as well as the left. And the talking points that are being trotted out here, something I may talk about a little bit later regarding Obamacare. It's really just repackaged leftist talking points, but it's something that you need to be aware of as the debate and conversation travels down the road here. I don't know if what we're going to end up with in terms of the repeal and replace. I don't know. It might be the entire Ryan bill care. It might be something else. Who knows at this point? One of the things I think that people are not picking up on, Joe and I were just mentioning this to each other before the show started. One of the things people do not pick up on, and why they get so flabbergasted and why they're so awestruck sometimes as to what he says, is the reason he says things and the way that he words things. A lot of times it's just to throw it out there. It's just to throw it out there. It gets everybody's mind or eyes off off what's really happening. In a way, you know, what was the Democrats? The Democrats do that also, but they have a different way about them. They just recycle an issue. Donald Trump will be talking about something, the pertinent issue of the day, but he'll say something or tweet something out there, and it throws everybody, you know, for a loop, because they're like, What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? And they're just completely distracted by it all. I know I was watching Tucker Carlson's interview with Donald Trump a little bit last night, but I watched most of it the day before yesterday. What would that be? Wednesday. And Tucker asked him and really kind of pressed him on why he uses Twitter and why he uses Twitter in the way that he does. And Trump pretty much said to him, if it wasn't for social media, I might not even be here today. He said, because social media allows me to talk directly to the people. And that's why I use it. He said, well, why do you do things the way you do? Why do you tweet? He says, that's the way I talk. It's just the way it is. But there's always, I really think people do not give this guy enough credit, that there is some real strategy behind what he does, the way he does it. And it's something that I think people need to pay a little bit more attention to. Having said that, let me get my partner in crime on here. Joe Hakos, how are you doing today?
I'm good, John. I'm good, John. It's Friday. It's a Friday, so when we hear the archive, this is Friday. Okay, so anyhow, just here. Let me give you one thing here from our friend Benjamin Franklin. In wine there is wisdom. In beer there is freedom, and in water there is bacteria. So anyhow, what people don't get is President Donald J. Trump is not politically correct. He doesn't subscribe to that. And so he doesn't worry about how things come out of his mouth that aren't what a politician would say or a focus group Clintonite would want to do. He doesn't think that way.
No, he did not go into this job. If I know anything, if I believe anything about this man, it's that he did not go into this job with the intent and idea that he was going to make a career out of it. It's just, that is not it's not in the stars. He's in there to do something. He'll be in there for a short period of time. It might be one term, it might be two. But I guarantee you the only thing we'll hear about Donald Trump after he leaves office, whenever that is that he's got a book coming out about it. That'll be just about it,
Yeah. I mean, look, obviously the guy's, he doesn't want for money. He didn't come into this job for money because he's making less money doing this.
In fact, he's probably losing money at this point.
It's not like he needs a status thing either. He's doing it because, why would anybody want to do what he's doing right now? Go through all the BS and crap if he didn't want to do it for the reason he says he's doing it, because he wants to make America great again.
Yeah, well, I think, there is, let's just take a moment here. Let's compare the two narratives that Donald Trump and Barack Obama offered about serving in public office. Remember, Barack Obama talked about the fact that if it wasn't for people like Martin Luther King, he wouldn't have been able to run for office. He wouldn't be in the White House today if it wasn't for those before him that took that stand and got the civil rights movement going and everything else. And that's, understandably, that's probably true. That's probably true. I wouldn't discount that. But if you think for 1 minute that Barack Obama was in the office of the presidency for the purpose of giving back into that which created him or helped to make the way for him, you are sadly mistaken. This guy he's a community organizer who did what? Now that I can vote, I want to fundamentally transform the United States of America. Completely different paradigm than Donald Trump, who is what? Well, America's given me a lot of opportunity. I've made a lot of money. I've accomplished a lot of things. People all over the world know me, and I want to give back to the country that made me what I am. Now, they come two completely, basically saying the same thing, two completely different meanings behind it.
Yep, way different.
Way different. The motivation is extremely different. Barack Obama is a student of and a child of the reparation mentality that has taken over and dominates in the particularly black minority community. That's not to say it's not in other communities, but very much so in the black community, because that's been the whole paradigm since the Civil Rights Act, when they decided, okay, we got the right to vote, now it's all about socioeconomic justice.
Whoa. They had the right to vote before that. They had the right to vote in the 1860s after the Civil War. Don't give me this crap. They didn't have the right to vote. That was Democrat Jim Crow laws that gave them, the opportunity to vote. Well, you can go and vote there, black guy, but my buddies over here are going to shoot you when you do. Yeah. That was the Democrat South. So they had the right to vote. Johnson did that crap because he knew he needed a voting constituency that he needed to have in his back pocket, in his party's back pocket for the next 200 years, as he said.
Yeah.
So they had the right to vote. None of this crap had to do anything with giving somebody else rights.
Yeah. I agree. I'm following along the paradigm that they present, the narrative that they present to the public. And but a point well taken. Hey,
look, sometimes you just hit that button on me and I just have to, I have to go.
Well, whenever I talk like that, I'm normally talking within the paradigm or the narrative that's being presented. It doesn't necessarily mean that's what we believe. Okay. All right. Hey, look, we got to go to our first break here. When we come back, we'll get into today's festivities. I imagine we're going to travel the full gambit today. We've got Bob Cardoza on at the bottom of the hour. Wants to talk about the what was it? What did he say he wanted to talk about? The Trump's tax returns. We've got David Leach from the Strident Conservative will be with us in the second hour. We're going to talk to him about a little clip that you might have heard it here in the show about Donald Trump perhaps walking back his position on the position of Israel within the parameters of our relationship here in the United States. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
We're not arguing. We're explaining why we're right. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment, and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoza. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoza Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardozalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardozalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them the potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right. And we're back here at the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And hey, look, I mentioned just at the beginning of the show here, the obsession with the media over minor stuff, making the minor stuff the major stuff. This whole Russian conspiracy thing, it started out as a minor thing and has ballooned because one of the things the left is really good at is using speculation, innuendo, allegations, all these things to actually build a narrative absent any facts. And the media has become experts in doing just that, carrying forth and advancing a narrative without any indication of truth to it, anything at all. And of course, they got the Constitution backing them up. That's what they think. Constitutional terrorists, I refer to them. And what is that? The First Amendment? Yeah, that allows us to quote anonymous source for everything and anything and not have any accountability as to actually producing evidence of what we say. It allows us to...
Or saying, oops, we got it wrong. They never retract anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get it wrong, and it's like, well, the closest thing you'll get to an apology is, well, that's what we reported, or that's what we believe, but never, oh, geez, we're really sorry for jumping the gun, putting it out there ahead of being able to verify it or confirm it. That doesn't make any difference.
You say that's what we believe because that's what they're accusing Donald Trump today of being. Just being ignorant about the press and news. You know, he'll talk about someone stating an opinion and saying that's news, and then he doesn't know the difference between news and opinion. And it's like, well, what does the media do? They always express the news as their opinion or their opinion as the news.
I know. You know, it was funny. I was listening to a little exchange that took place. I believe it was yesterday. It must have been yesterday. And it went kind of like this. Donald Trump is always blasting the media for using unnamed sources. And yet here he is making accusations against Barack Obama, wiretapping Trump Tower, and using unnamed sources. And it just the comedy of that, it reminded me of two kids in the classroom talking to each other and says, well, my dad's bigger than your dad. And no, my dad's bigger. Well, my dad can whip your dad. No, my dad can whip your dad. And so what they're doing is, my anonymous source is more reliable than your anonymous source. My anonymous source is credible. Yours is not. No, you got it all wrong. It's my source is credible and your source is not. And I'm like, and you think, and we look at it. Here's kind of where I want to go with this thought. We look at it and we say, how childish it is that the media is saying what they're saying, and how and many times here we find ourselves on this show saying, geez, I wish Trump wouldn't have said it that way, or that kind of, or maybe he should have held off on saying it. But I think the difference is that the media has a preset strategy, a preset template. And so when something happens that upsets that template or rocks it, they're more reacting in more of a self-defense thing. Donald Trump, on the other hand, when he attacks, he is on the offense. This is the one thing the media can't handle about Donald Trump. He doesn't walk things back either. He doesn't admit he's wrong. He doesn't apologize. I think the only thing I've ever heard him apologize for was the Access Hollywood tape, where he talked about the women that being able to.
Hey, there was news about that. Did you hear about the news on that one?
What do you mean?
Well, that Access Hollywood tape that was given to the Washington Post was produced by NBC.
Oh, yeah, and I understand it was also leaked by somebody at NBC.
Yes, exactly, to the Washington Post, because they didn't want their fingerprints on it.
Yeah, they want to get rid of it. They want to put it out there so we don't have any fingerprints on it. So, and of course, what did you hear about that? No retractions, no explanation, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. It's, in fact, the guy that did it, he got promoted to be the head of the news department at NBC. So it's kind of like, gee, you had a major television news network trying to affect the outcome of a national presidential election.
Yeah.
Gee, how horrible is that? Wow, my goodness. How come? Where's the outrage to that?
Where's somebody telling us that where's the collusion charges with Russia? Maybe it's NBC that's in collusion with Russia.
Maybe so. I don't know. I mean, really? And this is not the first time a news network has done this sort of thing. But this is ridiculous anymore. The left media here anymore is like, oh, and that you're trying to affect the outcome. Our republic, our democracy is just being attacked. Really?
Well, let's take it one step. Let's take it to the next level. The highest paid newscaster in the media today. You know who that is?
Matt Lauer.
No. Okay. Number two. I'm sorry. Number two after Matt Lauer. Brian Williams.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, so the top 1 and 2 Democratic operatives, and I'm being paid the most in media. Brian Williams, a man who was caught in lies. We're not talking about allegations. We're talking about proof, evidence, self-admission. Was sent to his room for a period of time by NBC, and in order to hide it, get him out of the public eye.
So what's the media do now? The media's out there whimpering, oh, we're being attacked, blah, blah, blah. You guys did this on your own. You guys tried to do this. You absolutely did it. You're caught red-handed doing it, and you deserve to get any criticism that people say. When you go to a President Trump rally now, you get people out there screaming, CNN sucks. They're still doing it. Why? Because, of things like we just talked about. Yeah. For crying out loud, you guys deserve every last bit of this. You need to straighten your act up, and maybe people will start to respect you once again. But right now, people don't trust you, respect you, or need you.
I'll tell you what, when your popularity ratings is below attorneys and just above Congress, you have a major PR problem. How could any anybody representing the media walk into any type of situation and question why people doubt their credibility. I mean, you've got to be a leftist to be able to do that. You've got to be a leftist to be able to listen to somebody like Nancy Pelosi, whose popularity, her favorability rating is 17%. And I'm sure 15% of that comes from her district. All right. And yet here's a woman still walking the front lines, telling everybody that the Democrat Party is on top of its game and they have no intention of changing anything, because of course, the strategy is what? You just wear down the opposition. You just wear them down. And you just keep throwing it out there. And these poor average Americans who don't pay attention to what's going on, don't vet candidates, don't really care about anything other than what the headline says, yeah, they'll buy into it eventually. We'll get those people back eventually. It may happen, it may not. It probably won't, because I think this election cycle really awakened a certain aspect of American thinking that it probably is more along revolutionary thought. That, hey, enough is enough. This has gone far enough. We'll see. When we start cleaning Congress out, then we'll know that whatever the Trump phenomenon began is taking hold. Until that time, people think that just by electing Donald Trump as president, it's going to change the direction this country's going. Nope. You'd be very hard pressed to convince me of that.
Nope, that's not the end all. I can tell you that. It's going to take more than just electing Donald Trump, even a 2-term to Donald Trump. And Donald Trump needs to, he's got me bewildered with his sentiment on this Ryan Care stuff. It's like, all right, buddy, you keep doing this. You damn well better make it work, because if you can't make it work before the midterms, it's done.
Yeah, and we discussed this yesterday. Maybe we'd spend the next few minutes kind of reiterating that to maybe those of you who weren't listening yesterday. I gave a lot of thought about this overnight, and in fact, I actually changed some notes. I've been asked to take the position of the current events director at the Eagle Forum out here in Southern California. They want me to go to every meeting. I got to go this Sunday to a meeting, and they want me to give kind of a recap of what the current events are that are going on in Washington. And so I was thinking, well, the topic I want to cover today, this week, is Obamacare. What the narrative is going to be regarding Obamacare, and then how we should respond to that narrative. That it's not enough. I don't believe in just standing in front of people and saying, well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. Here's what's being said. I believe here's what's being said. This is how you should respond. This is, we should have our own talking points. But our talking points should be based on what we know to be true, not what we presuppose or desire. So I'm sitting there, and I was thinking about what Joe brought up here the other day. And at the end of my notes, I found myself this morning going over them while I was sitting in the doctor's office, and I'm looking at them, and I'm going, I've got to come up with a conclusion. I'm going to point out what's wrong. I'm going to point out what it really means. Now I've got to come up with a conclusion. I've come up with this conclusion. The Republican Party has decided to perhaps even sacrifice itself for the purpose of taking down Donald Trump in order to preserve the establishment. I think that may be what this Ryan Care bill is going to do. Joe brought it up yesterday. I thought it was very valid. There's some other people out there. I think, who was it on Laura Ingraham? I forget who it was that brought it up.
It was Senator Tom Cotton.
Tom Cotton, mentioning that this is a trap, the phase out of Medicaid. And I've spent some time looking at Medicaid, and Medicaid is a very, very politicized entitlement program. I mean, extremely politicized. Everybody from the low income to the elderly to the undocumented to Planned Parenthood. This thing is used as kind of a catch-all. And I'm looking at all this stuff. I'm thinking, you start phasing that out, you're going to piss off the rest of the country. And it could just be that Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell have decided, you know what, as long as we preserve our leadership positions, we don't care who else gets reelected. We don't care if we lose a majority. We don't care who's in the White House. In fact, it'd be easier if we got a Democrat back in the White House, because then we can just go back into governing through complicity. Just, rattling our sabers, asking for money every election cycle, and doing absolutely nothing about it. That may just be the strategy here. It could be. Now, I put nothing beyond these people anymore in terms of lack of integrity, honesty, trust, or anything else. I don't think they can be trusted as far as you could throw them. So it is what it is. Anyway.
You can't trust these people. And they've shown that in the past. That's why, as we played yesterday, people should start calling for Ryan's head and move him along like we did John Boehner. It's about time that happens, because this guy is not about party unity. I don't care what he's saying.
Yeah. Anyway. Anyway, we got to go to break. When we come back, we'll be with Bob Cardoza over at Robert Cardoza Live. He's not doing a simulcast today, but we'll be touching base with him. We'll be connecting with him. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We got a lot more for you today. We'll be right back.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Are you behind on your taxes? The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote at 800-790-4294. 800-790-4294.
Sometimes when you compare prices on products, you think to yourself, what difference does it make? The rates are all about the same anyway, but sometimes the rates are very different. Let me give you an example where there's a huge difference in pricing between companies. Vehicle protection plans. Look, if your car is 4 years or older, having a vehicle protection plan is a no-brainer. The trick is not to overpay for it. Here are the facts. The average price of a vehicle protection plan is $2,800, while the price of a TOCO warranty vehicle protection plan for most vehicles is just $1,500. The average down payment on a vehicle protection plan is $299. With TOCO warranty, there's no down payment. The average monthly payment on a vehicle protection plan is more than $160 a month. With TOCO, the average monthly payment is just $49. To get a highly rated vehicle protection plan at a great low rate, call TOCO Warranty at 1-800-987-1519. That's 1-800-987-1519. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravoda from Red State Talk Radio for MyPillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. MyPillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable MyPillow is with its patented interlocking fill. MyPillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. MyPillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. MyPillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. MyPillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code RedState. That's 1-800-961-9194, promo code RedState. Put sleepless nights behind you with MyPillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. Are you...
Hello?
Struggling with addiction or alcohol problems? If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help, and your insurance may offer coverage.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573, 800-518-1573.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573, 800-518-1573.
Red State Talk Radio. Real radio for real Americans.
That America must put its own citizens first, because only then can we truly make America great again.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. All right. Hey, we're back right here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got on the line with us Bob Cardoza from Robert Cardoza Live, doing his bi-weekly segment with us. How are you doing today, Bob?
Hey, doing terrific. Today everybody's a little bit Irish, so I'm celebrating St. Patrick's Day, even though I only have a little bit of me that's Irish. Actually, there's none of me that's Irish. It's just that I intend to drink today in honor of St. Patrick.
Well, I used to really have fun on St. Patrick's Day, being from Ireland. My people are from Ireland, and it used to be a big thing for me. I think all the way up to the day that I realized that there's a lot of Irish people that are Democrats, and that's not something I really want to claim. I think it was.
You mean you gave up on your entire heritage because they were Democrats?
I'm sorry. I just can't. The Kennedys, Joe Biden, John Kerry. I mean, come on, give me a break. It's like,
well, you know what? They thought that Bill Clinton was a saint.
I guess so. Yeah, and they thought Obama meant 'Obama too. So it's amazing. Now, of course, we have on our panel now Jonathan Dunn, who lives in Ireland. He's been on our waiting list for 12 years to get American citizenship. He works over there at the Blaze, and he reminds me of why I would never really live in Ireland. I mean, I've been there, and I love the place. In fact, the people are nice. The weather is just right for me. It's always about 50 degrees, which is great. But but the government and the way that they run and the things that they do, the way they do them, not my cup of tea. But so much for St. Patrick's Day. I didn't even think about it this morning until I got to the store and I noticed the Hispanic cashier had a green shamrock pasted to her shirt. So I thought.
Well, I gotta say this for you, my friend. I have also been to Ireland. It's one of the most beautiful places, most friendly people that I've ever associated with. Everybody there treats you like they've known you all their lives. I never talked about politics when I was there because I knew right away that my politics and their politics were different.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I learned the first conversation I tried to have. We were on a train tour, and I tried to talk to these people about the conflict between Northern and Southern Ireland, the Catholics versus the Protestants, and that conversation went absolutely nowhere in about 30 seconds. So I realized these people do not like to talk about politics, which is probably why they're socialists to begin with. Nobody talks about anything. Anyway, you wanted to talk about the fallacy of the negative reporting on the facts of Donald Trump's tax return. I'd really like to hear this because I'll be honest with you. I spent about all of 10 minutes looking at this thing and decided it was a nothing burger. Mm-hmm.
But it is a nothing burger. First of all, we're talking about it's 12 years old. And so all the things that are in here are just pure BS for the media. Second of all, it actually does prove that he has the personal assets that he says he has, just in light of the interest that he's receiving, both taxable and tax-exempt interest that he's getting, in addition to the dividends and things that he's getting. The guy's a smart guy. And, everybody is putting him down because they said, he didn't pay any taxes for 18 years. Not true. Because actually he got caught up in what they refer to as alternative minimum tax, and which means that even though he had a legitimate $100 million write-off, he was not able to take that because of alternative minimum tax, and wound up paying an additional $2,292,000 in taxes. When the truth is he was only going to have to owe somewhere around $500,000. And, the guy's just getting reamed, and they're lying about him, and people are theorizing about his taxes, and, they don't know a darn thing that they're talking about. The guy's smart. The guy's got tax-exempt interest, which means he's got state and federal muni bonds that he's not paying any taxes on. So he got interest there of about $47,000. He's got interest that he paid federal tax on, but not state tax on, because it was muni bonds in other states. And he paid federal tax on $9 million plus of interest that he received on the investments that was going out there. The guy's tax returns are legitimate. The truth is that if he hadn't paid any tax, he had that $100 million write-off. It was legitimate. And anybody who doesn't take what legitimate deductions they're entitled to has got a screw loose, for Pete's sake. And now they're trying to castigate him because he's trying to lower the interest rate for those upper income earners. They're saying he's doing it just for them. Well, in reality, he's not doing it just for them. He's doing it for all these people to create jobs and opportunities and infrastructure. And he can't do it for them without including himself in it. There's just no way to do it. And so they're calling him selfish, and they're saying he's doing it just for him. That's just BS, John. And I got to tell you, that's just crazy talk.
Well, it fits. Here's the thing. Here's the thing with it. If I was going to look at the importance of this release, this tax return being released, we're talking about what? I heard 2 pages. Someplace I heard 4 pages. All right, not really a whole lot.
2 pages.
Yeah.
Hey, let's understand something here. This wasn't released. It was leaked. This stuff was obtained illegally and released illegally.
Right.
The felon.
Well, actually, Joe, we don't know that to be a fact. We don't know who actually leaked it. It could have been.
Donald Trump released the tax form. Did he put it out there? No.
How do
you know that?
Well, he put it.
Get to it, Bob.
No, I understand.
And I wouldn't blame him if he did. I'm just saying I don't know that he did. I don't know that he didn't. We don't know who actually leaked this thing. But if it was him, it was certainly a way of getting this thing off the table. But the truth is, it's 12 years old and it's of no consequence whatsoever.
Well, my take on that is this. I've got two comments on this, and neither one of them has to do with what kind of taxes he paid. One, as far as we know, Donald Trump, his people released these pages after they discovered that they had been obtained illegally. That is already the narrative out there, is the fact that these things were given. Rachel Maddow identified where they came from. They came from a liberal operative, a Democrat operative that has been trying for years to nail Donald Trump. So, to support what you're saying, the fact that she's just saying, well, these ended up in my mailbox and I don't know where they came from, but she actually said this is where they came from. So that tells me everything that I'm hearing is the fact that they were obtained illegally. Donald Trump tried to maybe take some wind out of the sail by releasing them just prior to Rachel Maddow going onto the air and talking about them. So, but the point being is that the law says that they can't publish somebody's private tax returns without their permission. Trump did not give permission, so that in and of itself is a crime. Now, let me get into what I think is really...
Whoa. That's not totally accurate. First of all, the law says that you cannot abscond with something and publish it and do it that way. Now, in this case, they're saying the guy that supposedly received this reporter, who's the tax expert, whose credentials are questionable, by the way, said that he received them on his doorstep. Whether he did or he didn't, I don't know. But under the freedom of the press statutes, he had every right to go ahead and release this because he didn't obtain them illegally. They just showed up on his doorstep. All of that, though, John, is inconsequential because the accuracy of them has already been verified, and these are absolutely clean returns. Now, are they going to complain because they didn't get all the supporting schedules? Of course they are. They're already complaining because it doesn't show enough charitable deductions. Well, it doesn't show charitable deductions on your first 2 pages of your tax return. That would be on itemized deductions anyway. And the truth is that Donald Trump made his charitable donations through his mini corporations, not through his personal tax returns. These guys are it's a witch hunt.
Okay, well, I could sit here and argue all day the constitutional terrorism of hiding behind the First Amendment, freedom of the press for doing this, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm looking at here is that the story, because it killed the original narrative, which was what? Donald Trump never paid taxes. Hasn't paid taxes in 18 years. That is something that that should have been brought back up into the media about the fact that this is then a slander and smear. They actually say Hillary Clinton herself is out there. He hasn't paid taxes. This is the Harry Reid, Mitt Romney thing all over again. Well, he just didn't pay taxes. He hides his money in the Cayman Islands. Turns out to be false, but so what? It accomplished the purpose for which we created it. My big issue with this whole thing is the fact that how she got the tax returns became the story rather than the tax returns themselves. She spent her entire show talking about how she came about getting it, how it was legal under the First Amendment for her to obtain them, and how it's also legal under the freedom of the press to now publicize them. And then spent the last 5 minutes of the show talking about it and closed her commentary with these kind of remarks. There must be something there. There's something else there. And what is that something else? We're going back to the Russian collusions. If we had what she's saying is, if we had the entire tax return, we could prove that Donald Trump is making money in Russia. First of all, you're absolutely right about a lot of what you said, except that she did not obtain them. They were provided to her by this guest that was on her show. I actually watched that show because I knew that this thing was coming. And it was the guest that provided it to her along with the commentary that I'm saying was actually questionable. And the only thing that they can do with these tax returns is to go back to all of this bull crap that she's spreading. I got to tell you, I wouldn't be surprised one day to see that there's breaking news on the screen that Rachel Maddow is no longer with us. Well, it could be, but then again, she could be elevated to the head of the network, too. I mean, in this day and age, anything is happening. We got to go to break. When we come back, I want to ask you about Obamacare a little bit. The way that I don't know how well informed you are on Medicaid, but I want to talk about Medicaid because that's going to be the big. I think that's going to be the major battleground as this thing works its way through the House and the Senate. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We've got Bob Cardoza, this is John Matthews, along with Joe Hakels. We'll be right back.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoza. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoza Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardozalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardozalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got Bob Cardoza checking in with us for this week. And, Bob, I want to get into this this Medicaid aspect of the Obamacare or the Ryan Care. They're synonymous to me these days. Mm-hmm. And sure. They're talking about presenting this thing in a three-phase rollout. Okay, the first thing, it's the third phase that I think is where we're going to really find the battle. And I wanted to ask you about this. I've been reading up a lot on Medicaid. And this Medicaid it seems to me, is kind of like the catch-all subsidy fund for anything that doesn't fall under any other type of subsidy. That's how I'm reading it, and the fact that who it applies to, who can use it, who can qualify to get it. One of the things I found was that Planned Parenthood, all their money that's earmarked by the government is paid to them through Medicaid. And there is actually ways that they can do abortions if they, within the confines of the construct of the Hyde Amendment, if it's determined that it's endangering the wife of the woman, rape and incest, stuff like that, Medicaid will actually reimburse for abortions. So I'm thinking, well, the whole paradigm, the whole narrative of the abortion thing it was about mental health to begin with, or the physical health of the woman. And so all you got to do is have a doctor just say, well, it's going to affect the woman physically or mentally, and they get the abortion. But my point is this. Joe brought this up the other day, and we were finding other commentators out there talking about it also. Tom Cotton down in Arkansas brought it up, and Laura Ingraham the other day, that if they implement the phase-out of Medicaid, that this is basically going to reduce the amount of money that goes to the states. It will overload their budgets and cause Medicaid to implode. If that happens, we are in a major, major mess. Am I hearing that right?
Well, yes and no. First of all, you need to understand that Medicaid is a state program. Each states have that, and the federal government funds 50% of it, but they earmark where a portion of those funds are required to go, and Planned Parenthood is one of those places. However, in the new budget, Planned Parenthood has taken right off those rolls. The problem is that the cornerstone of Obamacare is Medicaid throughout the states, and what's going on right now is that's what's keeping people, and we talked about this briefly, just showing up at the emergency room and you and I having to pay the bill. Now, what's going to wind up happening under the Ryan plan is that they want to reduce a portion of Medicaid that they are earmarking for Planned Parenthood and other programs for a number of different reasons. The states are already controlling Medicaid, and they're already funding half of Medicaid. What we really want to have happen, and that's exactly what Donald Trump's trying to put into place, if you look at his budget and you look at what's going on, he's doing precisely what conservatives want. He's trying to make federal government smaller and put the control in with the states. And when he does that, that's exactly what's going on here. The states now, if they wind up having total control of Medicaid and the federal government doesn't give them the matching funds that they've had now, then what winds up happening is 17 to 20 million people wind up off the rolls, can't get care, and they wind up in the emergency rooms, and you and I wind up paying the bill anyway.
Well, see, and I would just, my first response would be once again to correct your assessment that this is what conservatives want. Conservatives want repeal.
Well, conservatives don't want small. No. I said conservatives want smaller federal government, and they want the states to have a bigger role in the government. Is what I said.
Yeah.
I didn't say that they wanted Obamacare.
Okay. Now, what I'm getting at is conservatives do not want block grants going to states to fund Medicaid. Conservatives want the federal government out of the healthcare business altogether. Period. Slam dunk. Nothing going anywhere to anybody. If the states want to run their own exchanges,
but then you're right, John, because that then does destroy Medicaid, because the states are reliant upon that 50% matching figure, even though there's some earmarks there to support Medicaid. The states cannot afford Medicaid all on its own, which is where that 20 million people uninsured come from.
Well, but the point being is, see, now we get into the argument about compassion and everything else. If states want, we're doing it right out here in California right now. Gavin Newsom just introduced legislation.
But John, I'm not talking about compassion. I'm just talking about the economics of it.
Oh, yeah.
Why that's going to happen. I don't really care.
I understand that. I understand that, but the narrative of the economics is being driven by the narrative of compassion. That one is being used to push the other. Yes. We're out here in California. Yes. Gavin Newsom just introduced legislation. They're just now forming legislation to put California wants to just walk away from the government altogether, create our own single-payer healthcare system using our tax dollars. Now, that has to go to a ballot. And that's what I'm saying should happen. The states should decide if the states are going to run Medicaid. It's up to the people living within those states determining how much money they want doled into them. I'm not in favor of Medicaid in any way, shape, or form myself. That's me. Okay,
but wait a minute. But you know what? And you're entitled to your opinion, and I think that you're right. Most of it, and with most of what's going on, and the truth is that the population of the state should make that decision. But I don't want a portion of my tax dollars that are already going to Washington D.C. that are earmarked to come back to support Medicaid to now not support Medicaid and stay in Washington D.C. where they've already proven to me how prudently they can spend my money.
No, but see, that's the other part of the equation here. The other part of the equation is if the government is not sending block grants to Medicaid, then the government doesn't need that money and it should stay in my pocket.
I'm with you, buddy.
Okay, that's my position on it. So when we talk about Medicaid and we say, okay, the point I'm getting at here, and the point that Joe had brought up yesterday, was that this idea of phasing out Medicaid, which is what they're talking about in this third phase, is going to create a situation where everybody is going to lose. Donald Trump is going to be blamed for it, and we've gone as far as to think that maybe perhaps Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell are willing to self-destruct the party and the majorities for the purpose of preserving their own status quo. That's how extravagant or how extreme I think this thing is. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, I think it's a given. Yeah, I think it's a given. I think you're absolutely right, and they are willing to do that. But you know what? They're not going to, if they feel in their heart, or forget about their heart, if they feel in their greed, the fact that Medicaid has got to go away, then you know what? It doesn't matter who gets the credit or who gets the blame. If you want to get something done, just go ahead and get it done and make the sacrifice.
Yeah, well, the point being,
if you really believe that belongs at the state level, then you've got to make the sacrifice and make it happen.
Yeah, but the point being is the sacrifice. Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell are willing to sacrifice the majorities they currently hold. They're willing to sacrifice the White House for the preservation of the establishment status quo. That's my point. We're out of time, Bob. I got to let you go here. You got about 30 seconds to push your show.
Okay, in 30 seconds, I want you to know that coming back on Monday, we're going to pick up this conversation some more because it's absolutely more important to talk about the economics of the entire budget and what's going on in Washington, D.C., other than just Medicaid and the American Affordable Care Act. And you know what? You folks, listen to my show. I'll be talking about it every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Get my app. It'll tell you everything I'm at. Go to my website at robertcardozalive.com. And, John, thanks so much. These half hours go by really fast.
Okay, have a good weekend, my friend. Have a good weekend. When it's time for the Edwards Notebook, right, we'll pay some bills, and we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Oh, my goodness. So the statist Republicans trotted out Obamacare Light. I feel it is yet another insult to the American people. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, so now we, the people, are possibly being forced to wait indefinitely before there will be any serious tax cuts because the powers that be decided not to cut one single tax until after Obamacare is replaced. One of the excuses used to drag the process out is certain Senate procedure rules. And also, if Obamacare is totally brought up for a vote, then the progressives like Chucky Schumer will filibuster and prevent any progress. To that I say bunk. Because if they would have done a better job of defending the medical marketplace when Ali Obama was foisting his socialist health-damaging system upon us, perhaps the dilemma they now refer to wouldn't be occurring now. So basically, this drip, drip, drip approach will do little to relieve the burden now faced by the average American who has to endure it, unlike Congress and President Trump, who enjoy a far superior form of health care. Meanwhile, this Step 1, Step 2, Step 3 approach kicks needed tax reductions further down the road. Those midterm elections will be very interesting, to say the least. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoza. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoza Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardozalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardozalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
I think the big problem this country has is being politically correct. I've been challenged by so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either.
Yes, political correctness is out. American exceptionalism is back, ready to re-empower our republic as one nation under God by restoring our unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, with your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together we seek to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts of the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right, here we are, hour two right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Glad you took the time to join us, and I hope you enjoyed that last exchange, the first hour there. I know one of the reasons I like having Bob on the show is because he does not hold views very much like we do here. I think it's great sometimes just to have somebody who thinks differently come out and try to defend it, whether you believe it or not, whether you grasp it or not, whether you like it or not. It's better sometimes to hear it from the horse's mouth, if I can use that phrase, without being sounding insulting or anything. Bob's a good friend of mine. We've known each other for several years, many years, and I'm just I find myself more and more as I get to know him. Politically, we're not aligned, but that's okay. That's okay because not everybody thinks the way we do. Anyhow. We got David Leach coming up here after the break here from Strident Conservative, and I am rather entranced right now by something that he put on our show yesterday. I believe we played it about Trump maybe walking back his support of Israel, and we're gonna put the iron to David and explain to us where he got that perception. So that's coming up here in just a few minutes here. But anyway, we were talking before we had Bob come on about some of the things that are going on, the minor stuff that's being turned into major things. Okay. And what I was seeing here during the break here, apparently the Justice Department today just turned over the documents that they say support their claim that Barack Obama wiretapped Donald Trump. But the big story, as is the case in everything with the media these days, is not the accusation itself. It's the words that we use to put the accusation out there. The minoring and the majoring and the minors. Well, I guess the media doesn't understand that there are terms that can be used in a general sense, like the idea of wiretapping somebody. Okay, if somebody says to me, well, so-and-so wiretapped me, I would think, okay, that means somebody hooked something up to their phone or something, CIA stuff, that kind of stuff, spy stuff. But, if the person came out and then clarified to me, well, that kind of encompasses the whole concept of the idea of surveillance, I would understand that too. I wouldn't have to sit there and say, but wait a minute, no, you said wiretap. You talked specifically about wiretap. And you know why that narrative is being put out there. It's because it was an accusation that was leveled against Barack Obama, directly against Barack Obama. Barack Obama has to be protected by the media and the left. They have to be. They all hitched their wagon to this ass hat 8 years ago, and they're gonna live and die by what this guy does, because he is their only link. He's the only guy with the mojo that really gives them any level of credibility, whether it's self-perceived or not, or whether it's legitimate or not. They all hitch their wagon to him, and so if he dies, he destroys any delusion that anybody within the media has about their relevance and their credibility and their honesty and their integrity. The public knows. We know that the emperor is naked. We're not idiots. But the media has still, just like the left itself, just like the Democrat Party itself, they're still in just like the establishment, the Republican establishment. These people are still buying into their own self-deception that they are everything that matters to the world. And everything that they say, whether it's true or not, whether it's innuendo, whether it's allegations, if they believe it, then it's true. And you should believe it also. And if you don't, well, then you're a fascist, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, you're a hater. You don't like anybody that isn't white Protestant, okay? Let's be honest, that's what the narrative is, okay? So anyway, that's what it is. I just wanted to rant there. I felt the need to rant there for a moment, probably because I had to hold my cool a little while ago. So, all right, let's do our break here. We got David Leach coming up right after the break here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Strident Conservative.
We're on a mission from God.
Hello, America. This is David Leach, the Strident Conservative. Lutheran pastor and theologian Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a man who was hanged for his defiant stand against the tyranny of Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany, has been credited with saying these words, quote, "Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act." End quote. Perhaps if he were alive today, Bonhoeffer might choose to share these words with the elders at Gateway Church of Christ in Pensacola, Florida, where a decision has been made to close the doors to Gateway Christian Preschool and outreach of the church. According to the Elder Board, the reason for the decision is due to the preschool's involvement in the state-funded voluntary pre-kindergarten subsidy program and how that involvement might become a liability due to the religious teaching provided to the students. According to Director Barbara Deem, the elders were concerned about church-state challenges, along with the possibility of demands coming from the gay mafia and LGBT radicals. A genuine concern in America, where Christian businesses are routinely destroyed for standing on their Christian beliefs. These threats are no excuse for the cowardice being displayed by the so-called leadership at Gateway Church of Christ. For too long, the church has been silent in the face of evil. It has done nothing to halt the advance of the progressive movement bent on destroying American morality and Christianity. I wrote a series of articles challenging the church to defy the Johnson Amendment prohibiting political activism and to preach from the pulpit against the forces out to destroy our faith and our republic. The attacks on our faith are likely to get worse, which is why we are commanded to put on the full armor of God in order to stand against them. But in the case of Gateway Church of Christ, they have unconditionally surrendered without the enemy even firing a shot. And in the words of Bonhoeffer, God will hold them accountable. If you have a comment on this topic, visit stridentconservative.com.
Hey folks, John Matthews here from the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, the Conservative Syndicate. The debate regarding who should be accredited with defining insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results lends to its own insanity. Whether Albert Einstein, Ben Franklin, or Rita Mae Brown coined the adage or not, its meaning is as true as the fact the sun will rise and set tomorrow. In much the same fashion, citizens across our great republic today are debating whether or not it is time to change course regarding the accepted established norms of our political system. Is it time to create a new party or continue to expect different results after electing the same people keeping our current system? Partisanship, corruption, and a desire to maintain power for the sake of power by those we elect, reinforced by decades of empty promises trotted out each election cycle but never fulfilled, has left America frustrated, angry, and rebellious to degrees not seen since the Civil War. The only viable solution is to quit adhering to the insanity of doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. This is why the Conservative Party USA exists. The Conservative Party USA arose during the Tea Party Rebellion in 2010. It seeks to rectify the insanity that defines the consistent failures and corruption of the current two-party system by nominating and supporting candidates who are committed to imposing the conservative principles of fiscal discipline, restraining the reach of the federal government as outlined in the Constitution, and defending America's traditional family values. If you're tired of witnessing the insanity that dominates our political system, check us out at conservativepartyusa.org. That's conservativepartyusa.org.
Believe in yourselves, believe in your future, and believe once more in America.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right. Hey, we are back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we've got with us doing his weekly segment, our newest member of our Conservative Syndicate panel, David Leach from Strident Conservative, and you've been listening to his latest. I think we started doing your commentaries a couple of weeks ago, and I just really enjoy them. And we have one that you gave us yesterday, and we're going to put you on the hot seat today, David. You're going to sit in the hot seat today. How are you doing?
That's okay. I can handle it. I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I know Joe's doing great, too. You sent me yesterday your daily commentary on your belief that Donald Trump is walking back his support on Israel. And in there, you also, I believe, made a comment about who was it? Who was it, Joe, that you wanted to make the comment about or ask about?
Mattis, General 1H.
Yeah, having ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, and okay. I've got to be honest with you. Both of those allegations have thrown us back a little bit, and we thought, well, let's put him on here and let's have him explain to us how he came to those conclusions. So you have the con here.
Well, it wasn't, thanks for having me back, guys. It wasn't Mattis himself that has the connections. It was Anne Patterson, the person he wanted as his number 3. She's the one who has the connections with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Okay, and so why would that be? I understand, on the surface we can say, okay, yeah, that would be a big issue, but why would you think that would not be an issue to Mattis to have him if he knew that?
Oh, I don't disagree with you at all. I think and it's one of the reasons why there was a big uprising by conservatives across the country shooting her down. That's one of the reasons why she ended up not getting the gig. I'm really concerned about a lot of Trump's people and how they're handling certain positions as far as how it's going to affect the Middle East and our relationship with Israel. There are a lot of former Obama people that Trump decided to keep on, and I think it's a very troubling development. I don't find a lot of comfort in his commitment to create the greatest Israel policy in the history of America, and then he keeps these Obama flunkies. Some of them have had contact. Some of them had. One of them, I pull up my article here in a few seconds. One of them was involved in the Iran nuke deal. One of them was the advisor when Obama was responsible for the UN resolution before he left office that ended up condemning Israel for building in the West Bank. I'm just very concerned, and I find it very concerning that Mattis would be pushing so hard to make someone like that his number 3 person.
Okay, so expound on that a little bit. Maybe you can give it. How do I ask you to do that? I expound on it in terms of. Let's go hypothetical here. Why would Donald Trump want to keep somebody like these people on board? I mean, we can only speculate.
You want to know what
we can only speculate.
Ahead,
I'm sorry. We can only speculate, but that's what we do on this show sometimes. So feel free to speculate.
Well, my personal feeling is that Donald Trump is not a man of super strong conviction, and that he's easily swayed by the winds of popular opinion. People with narcissist tendencies, which I also believe he possesses very strongly, tend to be that way. It's more important to be liked than it is to be right. And I think that his decisions to the leaking that's been happening in the White House, take Israel out of the picture for a second, that's all been because of all these Obama flunkies that he's kept around. I think that I think you're seeing, quite honestly, a little bit of what can happen when you decide, well, I want somebody so far outside the box that he has absolutely no connection to Washington or how it runs. Well, that I can understand that feeling, because, believe me, I know that the rhinos have done plenty to discourage conservatives as far as putting any trust and faith in Washington and our people there. But you have to understand that this is a very likely or a very real possibility as a side effect. This is a consequence of what you might get when you get somebody who doesn't have the experience, I'll use that word to keep it soft.
See, my definition of the word experience is what you get when you don't get what you want. And so I look at, I understand, I understand that thought. Just let me interrupt you here just for a second here. I understand what you're saying here, because we have never supported, Joe and I have never supported Trump to the degree that we think, okay, this guy is the answer to everything and he's going to fix everything. That's not. I believe my sole reason for supporting him was because I knew we'd get a conservative Supreme Court justice. That was it. I didn't go much beyond that. In fact, maybe he'll touch the economy and straighten some things out there. I don't expect him to be a big champion of social issues or anything else. But I also would think that the fact that there are so many people that don't like Donald Trump, that the idea that is driving his motivation is that he wants to be liked, that seems so. That seems kind of outside of the parameters of everything he's shown us. Now, I do agree with you to some degree that I think that he made mistakes and has made mistakes. When we have Scott Faulkner on here, he outlined to us that, in the beginning, Donald Trump had chosen Chris Christie and Mitt Romney to help in his transition, and that ended up backfiring on him. Some of the problems we have today, perhaps the leaks are coming out of these people that were put in establishment operatives. So I think there is a tendency, maybe, I can make friends with my enemies by trying to, bring them on board and they'll become my friends. And to me, that's naive. That's very naive to think about that in the political world, but then that might be the kind of that naiveness might be because of the fact that he is an outsider, not really a hardcore player. He is a political player, but not hardcore like the rest of them. So I understand that, but I find it hard to believe that Donald Trump would be making decisions solely on the purpose of somebody wanting people to like him. I have a hard time with that one.
Might have been. Liking him might have been the wrong choice of words. For example, people who, I'll put my dad's clinical psychologist hat on for a second, people who crave attention are happy to get it in lots of ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be positive. For example, think of all of the ways that he attacked his fellow Republicans during the primaries, saying outrageous things, the assassination of JFK by Ted Cruz's father, and Ted Cruz having all those affairs. Those were outrageous. Well, what did they do? Well, they put the focus squarely on Donald Trump. I mean, the issue and the thing he said or did became secondary to the fact that He ended up getting to get a lot of FaceTime on television, more than any other candidate, by the way, in dollar value. And I think that was, part of the. I think that's maybe part of the plan.
Yeah, well, that was what we were alluding to earlier. Joe, you wanted to comment on that?
No, I think, he does have issues with the Obamaites that are still left behind throughout the bureaucracy right now. I mean, these people are dug in like a tick on a hound, if for a Southern phrase, if you want one. So they're not going anywhere right away. He's going to have to throw them out and kick them out screaming, and that's the only way it's going to happen. I mean, unfortunately, I think Priebus has too much power in that place right now over his over the goings on, everyday goings on, and his operations at the White House on the executive branch. So until
I would throw
this, folks, we're going to have to deal with this.
Go ahead, David.
Throw Bannon in the mix there too, as far as power goes.
Yeah, well, that's my thing.
Establishment, though.
Yeah, I agree with Joe. One of the things we talked about early on was the choice of Reince Priebus as chief of staff. To me, was an obvious attempt to build a bridge to the establishment, and to me, not a smart choice. I don't in any way, shape, or form think that Reince Priebus in the long run is going to be beneficial to this administration. And then when we start talking about all the other aspects of this thing, in terms of, I would agree. Donald Trump is in my opinion, as narcissistic as Barack Obama was. The way that they play it out, though, is a little bit different. But I don't think it's so much about being liked. I think it's more of I think he takes this kind of stuff on like it's a challenge. It's like, okay, being the great negotiator. What better thing can you claim or praise or brag about than the ability to persuade your enemy to come over and join your side? And I think that maybe that might be some of the motivation for why he thought, well, I can by taking these people that are just adamantly against me, and if I can sway them to become allies to me, not necessarily like me, but become allies to me, then that might be more beneficial into the overall narrative about myself, which is I can do anything. that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
But when you take it down to when you say something like, well, like me, I kind of put that on more of like a personal basis, and I don't see Donald Trump necessarily caring about whether people like him personally more than respect him as the businessman he claims to be, if that makes sense.
I understand where you're coming from, and I don't think we're too far apart there.
Yeah, I don't either. It was an interesting thought process that Joe and I were just kind of discussing. I said, well, let's put him on a hot seat and let's get him to defend that or explain to us, expound upon it. I'm kind of concerned, though, or I'm not concerned. I would just be more. I'm curious as to how you think the relationship that Trump has promised with Israel is actually going to progress down the line or regress. How do you see that going?
Well, again, since the election, he's made several troubling statements, flip-flops, if you want to use a political phrase, but the appearance, at least, of promising one thing to get elected and then planning on doing something else after he was in office. Something, by the way, that Kellyanne Conway actually confirmed on the issue of Israel, specifically the commitment to move our embassy to Jerusalem, to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital, and to move our business operations into the capital. That's been soft-pedaled now. We also have the fact that he has mentioned, even during the time that Netanyahu was in the country, he mentioned his preference. He softened it up a little bit, but basically he sided with the belief that all development, legal development, by the way, it's protected under treaty, what Israel is doing as far as building in the West Bank, that his preference that all the building come to a halt so that the peace process could resume. Well, that's Barack Obama's policy.
Right.
I mean, to a T, that's Barack Obama's policy. Stop building so that we can kowtow to the Palestinians and give them a state, even though they have sworn to your ultimate destruction that Israel will never be a Jewish state. And so this is where I'm very troubled. Based also too on the fact that you see this in just about everything else that Trump has done major. The wall was supposed to be paid for by Mexico, and now in his budget proposal, we're going to pay for it. You know, there was the issue. There were issues with the pro-LGBT executive order under Obama that basically discriminates against Christian business owners from doing business with the federal government. If, for example, their Christian faith says, no, I cannot facilitate or tolerate transgender or homosexual issues within my business. It's against my faith. So you throw that out there, and Trump said that he was going to repeal that. He didn't. He kept it in place. Even though I know he did the bathroom thing, but come on, I mean the bathroom thing. Anybody who's anybody can say that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. There I would concur with you because, as I said, we never expected Donald Trump to be a champion of social issues, and he did say in regard to Israel, I do remember him saying that, you know, if the Palestinian state is established, that's great, and if it's not, that's great too. It's kind of like whatever these people decide they want to do. So that to me was kind of a cop-out, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out here. We've got to go to our break here, and when we get back here, we're going to continue this conversation. I want to get your take on the budget thing, the budget that Donald Trump has proposed, and what you see going on there, because that in and of itself is creating a whole another firestorm. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. David Leach from Strident Conservative. We'll be right back.
Red State Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Red State Talk Radio is now available as a voice command on your Amazon Echo and Echo Dot by simply saying, Alexa, play Red State Talk Radio.
Red State Talk Radio on TuneIn.
Are you behind on your taxes? The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote at 800-790-4294. 800-790-4294.
You know, sometimes when you compare prices on products, you think to yourself, what difference does it make? The rates are all about the same anyway, but sometimes the rates are very different. Let me give you an example where there's a huge difference in pricing between companies. Vehicle protection plans. Look, if your car is 4 years or older, having a vehicle protection plan is a no-brainer. The trick is not to overpay for it. Here are the facts. The average price of a vehicle protection plan is $2,800, while the price of a TOCO warranty vehicle protection plan for most vehicles is just $1,500. The average down payment on a vehicle protection plan is $299. With TOCO warranty, there's no down payment. The average monthly payment on a vehicle protection plan is more than $160 a month. With TOCO, the average monthly payment is just $49. To get a highly rated vehicle protection plan at a great low rate, call TOCO Warranty at 1-800-987-1519. That's 1-800-987-1519. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, this is Leonora Cravoda from Red State Talk Radio for MyPillow. I used to have trouble sleeping. MyPillow changed all that. I now fall asleep within moments of my head touching my pillow. That's how comfortable MyPillow is with its patented interlocking fill. MyPillow stays cool and does not go flat. Plus, it's machine washable and dryable. MyPillow has a 10-year warranty and a 60-day comfort guarantee. MyPillow is also the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation, and it's made right here in the USA. MyPillow is now offering Red State Talk Radio listeners a 4-pack special with 2 premium standard or queen pillows and 2 go anywhere pillows. That's 4 pillows for the price of 1. To take advantage of this special offer, call 1-800-961-9194 and ask for promo code RedState. That's 1-800-961-9194, promo code RedState. Put sleepless nights behind you with MyPillow, the most comfortable pillow you will ever own.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Are you struggling with addiction or alcohol problems? If you're depressed, drinking, and using drugs, you may need help, and your insurance may offer coverage.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573, 800-518-1573.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Call now for hope and help with proven, gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call the Addiction, Hope, and Helpline now for a free assessment with someone who cares. Call 800-518-1573, 800-518-1573.
Red State Talk Radio. Real radio for real Americans.
My job is not to represent the world. My job is to represent the United States of America.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American.
All right, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got David Leach doing his weekly segment with us here from the Strident Conservative. And we were talking earlier, before the break here, about your concern about Mattis's number 3 guy being associated with the Muslim Brotherhood, and you had an article that you mentioned that you referenced about that, and so why don't we finish up that part of our discussion before we move on?
Sure, be happy to. I found the article. It was a Conservative Review. A gentleman by the name of Jordan Schachtel. I'm probably butchering his last name, but this was earlier this month, just about a little over a week or so ago, when she was still under consideration. And in 2012, Patterson lobbied for closer ties with the Muslim Brotherhood, which, as we all know, is an Islamic group that seeks to impose a global Islamic caliphate. She went as far as to meet with Mohammed Badi, the supreme guide of the Brotherhood. Badi has personally called for the destruction of the United States and Israel and has described the U.S. as an infidel nation that is heading towards its demise. So she, following this coziness with the Islamic authoritarians, Patterson's antics outraged the Egyptian people, who were planning to take to the streets in protest of the authoritarian Muslim regime that had just seized power. Some march in the streets with signs declaring her and Obama supporters of terrorism in Egypt. While ambassador to Egypt, her American embassy famously released a statement apologizing for a controversial YouTube video criticizing Islam's head prophet, Muhammad. The statement came in the wake of the jihadist attack in Benghazi, Libya, and the one which, as we know, is where Ambassador Chris Stevens, and 3 other Americans were killed. So her connection is direct. She actually lobbied in 2012 for closer ties with the Muslim Brotherhood. As you would know, 2012 was also a re-election year. This is when Obama was kind of actually really revealing himself as being very strongly pro-Muslim and pro-Islam. And, that's all the things that happened with that, with the fall of Libya and Gaddafi being killed, the I was going to say the Irish Spring, but you know what I mean. The Arab Spring. An Irish Spring. Hey, today's St. Patrick's Day, so it should be Irish Spring.
Yeah, that's okay. We're perfectly fine
anyway,
with that. That's fine. So
anyway, though, she's very close to the Muslim Brotherhood, and this is the person that Mattis was asking to be his number 3 person. It was very troubling.
Yeah, and and bringing that all up, I would say, yeah, that is very troubling. I guess the question that keeps sticking in my mind is, knowing this, why would Mattis want somebody like this? Would he think that would give him an in?
That's a good question. Of course, it would all be hypothesis at this point. We don't know what's going on inside his head. Although I do know that in the news about a week or so ago, there was a great deal of internal struggle within the Trump administration between Mattis and the people helping him pick these people, which would be Bannon and Priebus, among others, helping him equip his staff. There was kind of an internal struggle going on that Mattis wasn't able to get some of the people that he wanted to be in the Defense Department with him, and so maybe that's what this was all about. The fact that Patterson, and again, Patterson only really got shot down because conservatives, Mark Levin, Steve Deace, many of these national voices of conservatism, the few we have left, were very adamant about making sure that she did not get this job, that it was a very bad decision on Mattis's part, and if she were to be confirmed, would be a very bad decision on the part of the Trump administration.
Yeah, and I always come back when I see things like this or hear of things like this, kind of like it seems to almost embrace, to a certain degree, the Obama mentality is that if we appease our enemies, they'll start liking us. And it's like, no, I've never have bought into that narrative, but that seems, and I'm wondering, what I'm trying to do in my own mind here as you're talking is just kind of maybe editing my psychological profile of Donald Trump, because I'm not a Trumpster by any stretch of the imagination. This guy's not the great white hope. And he is not going to be the solve all and the fix all for everything. If we don't start cleaning out Congress, everything we're talking about right now, another 4-8 years from now, it's just going to be, we'll be back to square one. But I just, so I try to look at this thing from different angles, from the spiritual angle, from the psychological angle, from the, I think, geez, we got so many people that are either borderline psychopathic or well into bipolarism or something out there running around Washington. It's just strange. It's strange. So I'm trying to sort it out on levels other than just the politicization of everything. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
I agree, and but interesting also in this case also means troubling. And when you factor it in with all the rest of the things, by the way, that I mentioned in that commentary, other people within the Trump administration, his own attorney, for instance, just this week, Jason Greenblatt, was sent over to the Middle East to pressure Netanyahu into halting the construction, even for a city that was designed to house displaced Israelis who were uprooted after a very painful evacuation recently. So Greenblatt is now obsessed. I'm taking this from a piece that I also grabbed for my article from Daniel Horowitz. Greenblatt is now obsessing over every last neighborhood with the maniacal precision of John Kerry to prevent Israel from building even within its existing settlements. So now we're not even talking about expansion. We're talking about where they're already settled. This is really, again, this is very troubling, and this is closer to Trump. This is Trump's own top lawyer that was sent over to do this. So now you're not even worried about what was motivating Mattis. You're not worrying about what might even be motivating our Secretary of State. Now we're talking about the fact that one of Trump's personal top lawyers was sent over as an envoy to the Middle East to try to do some arm twisting with Netanyahu to stop building.
Well,
this is very troubling.
Could this just be a stall tactic, given the fact that he's having so much difficulty getting people confirmed and getting things into the hands of Congress to vote on things and stuff like that? Maybe it's just like, let's prioritize. So let's do what we can do to maybe kind of stall what's going on over in Israel till we can get some of this other stuff under control.
Well, I don't see it that way, and here's why. I remember during the debates. I don't recall if it was the primary debates or the debates with Hillary. I remember specifically Trump saying, I believe it was during the primary debates, specifically saying that when it comes to trying to broker a peace agreement between the Palestinians and the Jews, that he would be a neutral party, and he would demand that the other two parties become neutral too. I forget what it was, but basically it was a way of saying, what everybody wants gets wiped off the board, and I'm not going to take a position one way or the other. I'm going to just see how the two sides can work this out. Well, for generations, that hasn't worked. And I believe that it was an early indication that he really doesn't have a commitment when it comes to this.
It's just awfully good that someone...
Sorry, I was looking for something.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned that. I think I mentioned that. Trump basically said the same thing when he had his press conference with Netanyahu here. He said, they asked him, where's the U.S. stand on this? He goes, wherever they stand, whatever they come up with is what I want. So, again, when I look at that and in the context of the actions that you say that are being taken right now, I'm just wondering if that's what Trump is doing. He's just kind of saying, hey, let's just kind of forestall this a little bit until we can get a grip around some of the more important things right now in his mind. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying in his mind, perhaps he's saying, we're trying to do this repeal and replace. We're trying to get the jobs back on board. We're trying to get our Supreme Court justice confirmed. I'm trying to get cabinet positions filled. Maybe we need to do this first before we worry about what's going on with the Jews. It fits more into his narrative that it's America first. I'm just speculating. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
I would disagree with you just slightly in this regard. Trump has specifically stated on the record that he's turned this over to Jared Kushner, his son-in-law. In fact, he specifically stated something along these lines that Kushner is a very talented person, and he could very well be the person who brings peace to the Middle East.
Yeah.
And
Joe, you got a comment?
Possible.
No, I just agree with what David was saying, because that's exactly what he said. His son-in-law could be the guy that brings peace to the Middle East. But Trump is he's dragging his feet on this. He could have easily done this and sent a message if he'd have just moved that like in the first week of his administration, just done it, sent out the order.
Yeah.
Just change the nameplate on the consulate in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, well, exactly. Even and I mean, just in line with what you were saying, David. I'm going to go back to my little theory here. Here's the deal. Everybody, how much of a big deal was being made about the fact that Donald Trump was going to use people in his family in his administration? The big thing with Ivanka, the big thing with his son-in-law. And maybe, like I said, if he's saying, well, if this is a guy he has said, okay, my son-in-law here is going to be the guy that heads this up for me, but I can't do it right now because the media would have a field day with this, and I'm already dealing with this and dealing with that and doing with it. So I'm just wondering. I'm not saying for sure. You make some very valid points, and there are some real legitimate concerns after listening to you talk. I'm just wondering if it's not more of a strategy rather than just walking back on a policy. I guess that's what I'm saying.
I get where you're coming from, and hopefully it's more that way and less what I'm feeling. But all we have to go by is track record, and I'm based on statements that he made during the primaries,
right.
Based on statements he's made since he's been president. It's very troubling. I don't believe when it comes to Israel and Palestine that he has any core conviction on the issue, and that he's pretty much turning this over to his son-in-law to deal with, and basically giving him whatever he wants to try to get it done.
Well, there I would agree with you. And that goes back to what I was originally stating. I don't think Trump has conviction on a lot of these things that are driving a lot of the quote unquote conservatives that voted for him. It might work for the populists, and it might work for the moderates to some degree. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, we've never bought into the idea that Donald Trump is any kind of a conservative. He's somebody that sees some things in the country that he thinks needs to be fixed, and he's going to do what he can to contribute to that. So in that line, yeah, it remains to be seen what's going to happen here. We got to go to a quick break here. We'll be back with David Leach from Strident Conservative. Don't go away.
Since its founding, America has always been admired and envied throughout the world for its system of government, one that empowers its citizens to seek their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No other country or nation in history has benefited from its diversity simply due to the opportunities available to anyone from anywhere. But there have been and are those who envy our freedom for a very different reason. And today we find ourselves as never before being threatened by this formidable foe intent on our destruction. For this reason, Act for America exists. Act for America is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots national security organization with over 300,000 members and 1,000 chapters focused on educating, engaging, and mobilizing citizens and elected officials to impact legislative outcomes to protect America against terrorism both here and abroad. As a result, our network has driven the education process toward the successful passage of 43 bills in 22 states. We continue to expand our nationwide volunteer chapter network, training citizens to recognize and help prevent criminal activity and terrorism in the United States while preserving the civil liberties protected by the United States Constitution. To find out more, check us out at actforamerica.org. That's actforamerica.org.
That America must put its own citizens first, because only then can we truly make America great again.
And now back to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives.
All right, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. Visit our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You can pick up this show, any of our shows, find out what we do, why we do, who we do it with. The Conservative Syndicate, not net. Irish Spring, Conservative Syndicate, not net, and Irish Spring. We've got David Leach with us from Strident Conservative, and we got about 5 minutes, David, and I wanted to get your take on this. I believe, and I don't know if Joe concurs with me, but the big battle I can see from the Republicans on the budget is going to be over taking money out of the State Department that is being doled out in foreign aid. Mitch McConnell has already voiced his concern with this. I think pretty much stand against it. And my question to you would be, do you care to speculate as to why McConnell is taking this stance?
Oh, gosh. I could talk for days about Mitch McConnell and all the stupid things he does.
But this is a specific stance he's taking on foreign aid, and we know that foreign aid is one of the biggest expenditures that we have in this country, and a lot of that money is going to our enemies.
Well, I believe Mitch McConnell is like many others in the Senate, many of the other rhinos, John McCain, Lindsey Graham, and he is a bit of a neocon. And in that regard, I believe that he feels that trying to buy influence with taxpayer dollars with certain nations is a way of trying to spread our influence around the world, rightly or wrongly. And I think there's a little bit of that kind of going along to get along thing we were talking about earlier about with the Palestinians. That I think that obviously we all know that there's power in money, and the person who controls the money has all the power. And I think that there's a little bit of resistance here by the establishment Republicans, mainly because of the loss of influence they feel they're going to experience if those cuts really do go through. That's my take.
Yeah, that is, and maybe I want to just take it a little bit further here. Now, I want to give Joe a chance to comment here also. I'm wondering how much of this has to do with his ties, McConnell's ties, to nations like China through his wife, who, by the way, is heading up the Commerce Department.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would just say follow the money. Follow the money that McConnell has coming from these places. That would be the ideal here, because that's what drives these people anymore. Not serving the American people. It's all about money for them, and where they're getting their money from, and the power that they receive from it. That's all that it is. Again, it's setting Trump up for failure. They don't give a crap about what happens to Trump as far as this goes. And if Trump fails, then we have failed, because if the midterms go the Democrats' way, there goes your chance at a second Supreme Court nominee.
Yeah, and let's hope. Well, let's hope. Like I said, I hope he gets at least 2 in this time around. I hope the next State of the Union,
the first term. I don't see it happening in his first term. He's only got about 20 months to go before basically the second for midterms. And so that's what, unless Ginsburg decides to assume room temperature in the next couple of months, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just that's my hope, though. The next State of the Union message, we find out that she's not asleep. She's gone. That's just her head in a jar somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. All right, yeah. I don't know. I really shouldn't say things like that on the air, but sometimes I just I see some of these people just outliving their usefulness, and they're just they remind me of people that are my wife was an activities director for a number of years in a convalescent hospital, and I used to watch them wheel people out on flatbeds on gurneys that were kind of in catatonic states, but they were taking them to a dentist appointment. I used to look at that stuff and just say, well, why are they doing that? Well, it's just because somebody's making money off of it. That's the deal here. And I just kind of look at it that way when I see things like people like Ginsburg still hanging around. I mean, this woman has certainly outlived her prime. Anyway, all right. Anything in the budget that catches your eye, David?
Well, I'm big on cutting money wherever we can. I think there's been a little bit too much hype on some of these cuts that he's making. They represent a very small part of the overall budget. But, hey, cuts are cuts, and I'll take them anywhere I can get them. I'm very much in favor of ending the support that we give to the National Endowment of the Arts and public radio. Those are big. They're not big in the budget, but those things have been going on for so long. When they were created, maybe they had a purpose, but like everything in Washington, they never go away. All
right, David, I gotta cut you off here. I probably shouldn't ask that question. We're running out of time here. Why don't you you got about 30 seconds. You got about 30 seconds to plug your website.
StridentConservative.com, StridentConservative.com. Every commentary we do, we also do an expanded version of the written, and so anytime you're looking for more information or like you have a question, like what we had earlier, you can find that usually in the written piece that I provide with each one of those commentaries.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on today, and sorry about the little glitch at the beginning here, but sometimes it happens. It's live radio. That's what goes on.
We'll get it fixed by next week, I'm sure.
All right. Take care. Okay, guys, we're done for the day. We'll be back on the air Monday. 3 o'clock out here on the left coast, 6 o'clock on the east, and prime time sometime everywhere, somewhere. God bless you. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Guide me to who you want me to help. Raise up more that will call upon your name. Raise up those that love you and seek you and trust you. Raise them up, Lord. Raise them up. Lord, we need a generation of believers who are not ashamed of the gospel. We need an army of believers, Lord, that hate to be lukewarm and will stand on your word above all else. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up. I pray for unity among those that love you. I pray that you open their eyes so that that they can see your truth, Lord. I pray for your hand of protection and guidance. Raise up a generation, Lord, that will take light into this world, that will not compromise when under pressure, that will not cower, Lord, when others fall away. Raise them up, Lord, that they will proclaim that there is salvation in the name of Jesus Christ. Raise up warriors, Lord, who will fight on their knees, who will worship you with their whole hearts, Lord. Lord, call us to battle, that we may proclaim you King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I pray these things with all my heart. Raise them up, Lord, raise them up.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.